Mm.
He was talking about, he's working out. He's a door-to-door salesman, so he's working really hard. He's improved his income, and he was really being attacked by his wife about not. Um, she actually specifically said, "You're not disciplined" in the text message, and it
Mm.
really triggered him. And now, of course, it's only been a few weeks of working out. This income thing. I had to call him up and not out, up and talk about. Question: Are you lying? Because we try to know how much money every man makes because they need to be man providers.
Right.
We try to make sure that they're healthy, and we try to make sure, of course, obviously, number one, relationship is a foundation, but of course, that they know who they are. And I wanted to know if this man was lying. And the thing about it is, he's doing the work. It's only been a short time.
Right.
And we see these ebbs and flows, man. Of it's like all of a sudden everybody's working
Yeah.
and doing everything they're supposed to do, and all of a sudden it could drop. And it's like, where the fuck are crickets? Are you guys
Yeah.
working?
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, man. It
Yeah.
drives me mental.
And I've tried to figure it out. You and I've had these conversations over the last 2 years, off and on and off and on, just like even in the app or even in certain places where our social is active and we've got active communities. It's like sometimes it's all the time. Everything, always conversation, people engaging, and then the next time, crickets. I've got a cricket sound somewhere over here. I can't find it. But anyway, I should throw it in. And really, it could be anything. It could be the weather. It could be the what have you, but it boils down to I think, where people put their focus. And when it comes to the work of relationship, most of the men who come to us, they're at a desperate place. They're looking for some kind of emergency pill to swallow and wake up the next morning, and 20 years of nonsense is going to be fixed in 24 hours. And so I think sometimes maybe it's just despair. I mean, I don't really know. We could probably sit here and talk for an hour about why they have it.
Well, I think that it's really important to address that there's also a different kind of man or woman. Okay, so they're in despair still,
Yeah.
but they're, rather than understanding that this has to inherently be something that matters to you.
That's right.
I say this all the time on coaching calls. I say it in public too, but specifically to the men that I coach, or the women that I coach, and I'm like, if you're here to save your marriage, call your fucking lawyer.
Yes.
Because if this isn't about you and the byproduct being a healthy relationship,
Right.
then you're going to lose, because you're doing it for their approval. You're doing it for their trust. You're doing it for them just to make the peace with you. So it's good. You're doing it for intimacy or whatever the thing is, So inherently, you're never going to get anywhere, because the changes can't possibly be real if you're making.
That's right.
Your life to get something.
Right.
It's that you can't be attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I like how one of our mentors put it, that, expectation is premeditated resentment. And it's not that you can't
Yes.
have an idea or a hope, or, and hope is an emotion too. A lot of people don't know that, but there's this idea that if I do this, I'm going to get that. And if I do this, I'm going to get that, or I expect to get that. Or if I don't see that, then why am I doing this? And really, I think that probably sits to the heart of why a lot of people just quit with the work or slow down. And then, 6 months later, we see them coming back in, dragging their feet. Oh, if I'd have just stayed with it, I'd have been a bit, every gym membership starts with that and ends with the same thing, right? If I'd have just stayed with it, I'd already be in shape by now.
Yes. Yes.
The point is to make the choice. Who are you? And what are you working toward? Are you actually doing the work that's necessary? And I think that when the expectation is out there that here's the cake, or here's the prize, or here's the goal, rather than, and this is just sort of the way, how I filter everything, rather than this is who I am, so this is why I'm doing it. I'm going to be this man because this is who I am. And the expectation is I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to show up. What happens on the outside, I hope somebody, because I asked that question in one of my courses, who do you hope sees the transformation and why? And everybody always says my wife or kids. I hope that's it. Well, why? Because, I love them. I want them to see. But ultimately, the why underneath it all is that they don't feel like they're worthy enough or good enough or lovable enough or what have you. They don't feel like they actually have any worth if they don't have the relationship. And so when we're running from that premise, when we're running into chasing the outcome of a relationship, the work that we're doing is just another invisible contract. And the only thing invisible contracts do is cloud the truth of who we are. And then we end up showing up in the work not authentically. So then what happens? We don't get what we expect. We get the worst. We get the opposite because we've not shown up to do the work authentically. And that's sort of the way I like to approach that. And and you can say it. I mean, how many hours of this have we had conversations with people where we've said these things and taught them these things and had that mindset. And then yet it doesn't matter. One bad afternoon turns the entire apple cart over. And they go, I've lost everything. It's just catastrophizing. And I like the way you put it. The win is not in your wife. It's in you. It's in you being the man that you're supposed to be. And what that means is when we show up and when we're walking in with integrity and we're being the man that we are, the wife doesn't respond positively. Okay, well, I hoped it would be different, but that's not why I'm doing this. And I think that's sort of the essence of expectation there.
100%. The problem is, and it's crazy to me that we still have to teach this, but the amount of times that Catherine and I have said publicly for the last 6 years, like the byproduct is the marriage.
That's right.
Or I'll teach the byproduct is the sex life.
Yeah.
Right? With every level of safety that someone unlocks, because they know who they are, why are we saying we're fighting? I'm not fighting. When you know who you are and you can unlock that safety for your partner, and we talked about this yesterday on a live where men need to feel safe too. Let's just get real. Okay.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if more people could think about who I want to be, what could I do differently? Right. I'm so tired of hearing people. You talk to men on coaching call and it's like she.
Yeah.
Never once do they say I.
That's right.
Or if they slide an I in, it's usually to build themselves up.
Right.
The byproduct is the marriage of the person who says I.
Yeah.
The byproduct of that door-to-door salesman working really hard is his bank account. But if he goes there and serves his customers, he's going to sell more.
That's right. That's right.
If he goes there with the expectation to make money, he's not going to sell.
No. He's going to chase
right
rather than be something.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when we think about the byproduct of things, we can't fault people for wanting things. And that's something too that we teach, especially in the identity side of things, is that it's okay to have needs. It's okay to have wants and desires. It's okay to express those things. But we can't expect that we deserve them. There's also some entitlement sometimes where I've changed, now you owe me, or I'm working, now I deserve. No, you deserve love, respect, honor because you honor, respect, and love yourself and others. You deserve honor and respect and love because you're a human being. So why don't you act like one and stop becoming the take responsibility? And the I is the first word in the sentence that takes responsibility, and it never has you in it.
100%. That's awesome. I love that. The problem is, we talked about that with this man. Like he's literally trying to make changes. So let's use the health example. Mm-hmm. Well, in Man with Purpose, in my program, I teach you got to get in shape. I teach why.
Right.
It almost.
Yeah.
Be trusted because you things.
I don't know what that was. Anyway,
I don't know what that was.
You can do things. Let's go.
but the computer does not want to work out right now.
That's what I heard. It's not going to do it.
But what we realize is like he's not in great shape currently. So if what he's doing for 3 weeks of working out is to show her that, see, I'm disciplined. Mm-hmm. You see, she's not even going to respect the fact that he's doing something good.
That's right.
And we see this all the time because many people will start to realize they have to get healthy. just sticking with the health example,
Right.
right? And what do we see? It's like the first things that we know, the very first thing we normally see is like, oh crap, this is interfering with the schedule, say with the kids' routines,
That's right.
right? And so I'm like, do you have to get up an hour earlier? Can you do it at a different time? Do you have to communicate differently? Do you have to schedule other things with your family, et cetera, et cetera? But that can create a lot of backlash. See, but the moment that backlash comes, he can't do anything because he was doing it to prove he was great rather than saying, no, I need to be healthy. I want to live a long life with my wife. Right. I want to be there for my kids. I want to see the grandchildren. I want to feel good when I walk in a room.
Yeah.
All of these things are I statements.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
See, the moment you're doing the work to get something in return, it's like, well, you think I'm controlling you. Like I'm changing the schedule. You pretend that's an I statement, but it's really a you.
That's right. Yeah. Look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Look at, see me. It's all about me. Give me my cookie. Give me my gold star. Give me a happy face or whatever. And something that, and I, of course, people talk about this, and sometimes we have to repeat ourselves so much because our audience is like a revolving door. We have a lot of people that listen, but it's like we're saying the same thing. But I had a writing coach tell me in 2023, James, show me, stop telling me. Just show me. And now I've integrated that into my coaching. I've integrated that into everything that I do when I work with people. I don't want to hear what you're going to do. But, psychologically, you hear about New Year's resolutions, but they're always going to talk about health and fitness and nutrition and weight loss and all these good disciplines and stuff. And they'll go join the gym or they'll make a decision to do it. And what people don't realize is that the decision to do it or talking about the decision to do it, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. Gives enough dopamine to settle the indifference of actually wanting to do the thing. And so and I don't know what it's called. I'm not in that space, but I just know that I think the same thing happens when we sit around and we talk with our spouse about what we're going to do and how we're going to show and all this other kind of stuff. And really, you get to a point in the relationship where the person that's constantly hearing the talk but never seeing the walk, it's sort of like the Peanuts cartoons, wah, 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 like children hear adults, and then they come to us and they go, why isn't this working? Well, it's not working because you're trying to make it work.
You're trying to make it work. And the thing is, we already know. Like I like to reference this on the podcast, we'll watch the podcast, the downloads, we'll watch it every single weekend will be less than half of what the daily episodes are.
Oh, wow.
Right? So the combined weekend is less than the daily Monday to Friday, Monday to Thursday, actually. So what that tells us is that on the weekend, we take a break.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So
it's so, I love the podcast, Cass. We watch from the beginning. Sometimes we listen to episodes 2-3 times, then move on. My wife and I use it as talking points, but I do nothing on the weekend.
Right.
And we also see this with people downloading our app. Right? Yeah. How many times do we see, we do have a meeting, we're doing our weekly meeting or whatever, and we're like, okay, well, downloads are way down, the daily downloads of the app. It's just people are not joining right now. What's going on? People, that I'll take responsibility and I'll say, maybe it's me and my exposure. Maybe I've got to get the word out more. But when we start to look at all the data, like tying that back to the podcast, we can start to see, because math doesn't lie, that people choose when and when they do not want to do the work. And this is why I think you hear people saying something like, I've tried everything.
Right. Yeah.
You haven't fucking tried everything.
And that shows that even their work. And listen, this is not an indictment against people. It's just natural. It's what we do until we know better. And then we know, and then we make changes. But the very fact that they say I've tried everything shows that the work was a pretense. Shows that it wasn't authentic. The fact that you don't take off from breathing on Friday night. You don't take off from a bowel movement on Sunday. You don't take off. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. You just can't. Why? Because your body is going to function. And the thing is, when you're doing the work of being authentic in your relationship with yourself and then with those around you, you don't stop doing that. You may not be present because you may take a vacation or you may be gone somewhere. But even in that absence, you're still actively leading yourself, and then inadvertently you're leading others. And so when we say that, when people say that, hey, I'm just taking a break, it shows that the work isn't genuine, that it is really an invisible contract. That it's like me trying to decide I wanted to learn Chinese or something. Yeah, I might take a
Mhm.
break on that. But if I'm living in China and nobody speaks English, you're not taking a break. You're in the game all the time because that's who you are. And I think that that's something that people just can't get until they get to the rock bottom.
Well, I think because it goes back to people having these tied to their partner to feel
Mm,
good about themselves.
right.
Being tied to, we see this with highly successful people in the corporations we help. We see the who are tied to their success
Yes.
in the exact same way,
Yes.
right? The moment that defines who you are no longer a person who can give.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm only great if I make money. I'm only great if I'm not divorced. I'm only great if my children love me. What the fuck?
Right.
The reason that you're struggling in success and you're in the fog, the reason you're struggling in a marriage and you can't get somewhere, the reason why you're disconnected from your children is because you're tied to them to feel self-worth.
That's right.
So that's what makes you pull back. If we think about people doing or not doing the work, taking a break on the weekend, what about people who just decide not to do it? I'm just going to drink today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do what I need
Gonna
to do.
escape. I
Right?
need a
Just
break.
gonna
I deserve
escape.
a break. I deserve some time out.
Coping.
Coping.
Coping. Oh,
Yeah.
we're told that in society. Oh yeah, 9 to 5. That's the way it's supposed to go.
Mm.
You deserve a break. No. What if you could learn how to do it all?
Yeah.
You could work hard and achieve success. You
Right.
could work hard and achieve that's success and achieve.
It's a new word.
Achieve a healthy marriage and a loving, passionate marriage.
Yeah.
Relationship with your kids. What if you could be healthy? What if you could do it all?
Yeah.
See, the problem isn't the discipline of this man showing up for 3 weeks. The problem is he doesn't realize that I can have it all. If someone else has it, I can have it too.
Yes, that's right. And
Right.
it's and the drive to we get to the why a lot. Both of us talk about in our respective lanes. We talk about the why. The why can't be because then I'm somebody or then I'm successful. Like when in some of our
Yes.
corporate work, we see a lot of times, and we've got this little cliche. It's becoming cliche in our own conversations. Is that somebody like a broker or a real estate agent who makes a lot of money? They sometimes mistake the fact that their worth is tied to their net worth. And we have
Yes.
to be careful to recognize that is that the why behind our desire to grow has got to be because I call it the impetus moment, the moment where there's a spark in you. For me, it was March the 4th of 2023 after years of therapy and depression and everything else. And I'm sitting there going, I'm losing everything. I've lost most everything. What else do I have to lose? And I'm like, F it. I'm just going to either put a gun to my head or I'm going to start writing. So I have I have a pen and a pad on my paper, on my bedside table, or a pistol. And I picked up the pen and I started being honest with myself. Honest. This is how I see myself. This is what I'm doing. I'm making excuses, blah, blah, blah. You've got to have that spark to make a decision that you're not going to live this way anymore. It can't be because
Well-
I'm desperate for somebody else. I'm desperate for somebody else to validate me. No, you've got to validate yourself and say, I'm not doing this anymore.
Well, and the reason why we have to work so hard to coach these men and women is because there's always a spark in their mind.
Mm,
It's usually a rock bottom
that's
of
right.
some sort,
That's right.
right? But people will ask me, how do you stay motivated? I'm like, what the fuck do I need motivation for?
I don't need it.
I either want something or I don't. Like,
Right.
I either go get it, I do the work, or I don't.
Yeah.
Like, but I think that what people need to realize is, and I learned this in my own life, the original rock bottom for me was almost going to jail, the restraining order,
Yeah.
right? And so I had to learn to start changing my behavior. But the real rock bottom was when Catherine told me, I'm not in love, I'm not attracted, I'm settling, and she was repulsed by me. Right, when she rejected me. And so what I think people need to realize is those rock bottoms aren't the catalyst, the choice. And here's why I know this. I was angry for 3 days when Catherine said that to me.
Yeah.
I gave you all this. I've worked so hard. I didn't go to, like, I'm not yelling like I used to yell, like, basically describing the normal guy, a normal dude.
Right.
You're not supposed to yell, But the real impetus, the real spark for me was when I was like, well, I don't like that. If she wants me and who's more desirable?
Right.
If I'm repulsive and I don't think she's repulsive. So what the real spark was is I was done feeling like I wasn't good enough, that I needed her to feel like I was worthy of something, that she had to have sex with me so I'd feel like a man, all
Right.
this shit.
Right.
but the rock bottom wasn't it. And that's where people get confused. That's why we have to work so hard with them in our programs, because they come for the rock bottom and they don't have that spark. They just think they do because they don't want to lose everything.
Right.
That's not a.
No, it's not. It's not. And you said it best, Cass. It is literally the true spark is the decision that you're going to do different, that you want to be different, that
you want to feel different,
you
better,
are not.
great.
You're going to find
Yes.
yourself in the chaos. And as you know, I mean, through our publishing company, New Rock Press, I'm writing another book, and one of the taglines, I can't decide how I want to do it, but there's a sense in there where I'm a man who was burning alive, who is now burning alive. And it's sort of a double entendre there with
that's good.
because that's what it was. Before I was on fire, being consumed, and now I am a consuming fire.
Now I'm a little
I'm
bit
not saying that
biased
to be
with that.
theological there.
No, I love that. The reason why I'm a little bit biased and I love it so fast and so much is because that's what I say. Our marriage is on fire, but our marriage was on fire. We were in the depths of hell,
There you go.
right? But now I don't like the negative anymore, man. I learned to create joy instead of chaos.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That's why we say best day of our life every time we
That's
talk.
exactly right.
Every
That's
single
right.
time we say, how are you? Best day of my life.
Yeah.
Right. And the reason is because when we're on fire now, it's only going up. It's only
That's
a
right.
positive reference. It's only one thing. And this is why our partner can't tear us down. This is why, social media is not going as fast as I want it to. That's impactful for my business, for my family,
Right.
for my employees' families,
everyone.
all that
Yeah.
shit, for everyone. Okay. But it doesn't have to affect us the same.
No. Just do what
You know,
we do.
we might have to process. I processed with you about that recently. Same with
Right.
Dennis, right? Same with Catherine. Much less with Catherine because I process with men.
Yeah.
Okay, but the reality is, on fire doesn't mean bad for us anymore.
No.
I love that you wrote that, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really become sort of a the whole premise of really trying to help people see. Listen, if you think, like on the call yesterday, I had a lot of good questions on the coaching call yesterday, and one of like, when am I going to be able to stop seeing all this? Here's the thing: the fire around you is never going to go out,
Ever.
ever.
People got to start realizing.
Ever.
And when things are good, Catherine taught me this. When things are good, the weight of the world will feel like it's coming down on you, man.
Right.
Right?
Right. That's right. And the thing is like you just burn brighter than the fire around you. If you think about here down in the southeast of Georgia, we got a lot of forests, and there's forestry towers up where they watch a forest fire can really wreak havoc. Just like in the West Coast, it's really bad over there. But the way you get a fire under control, one of the ways you do it is you set a fire on the other side of it so that it burns itself out, consumes itself. But it's not even like that. When we're doing work because of who we are, we're literally ablaze. We're a light for other people to see us. We're warmth when someone's cold. We're also a warning so that people can understand that, wow, James, I've heard what you've been going through. Are you okay? I've had 2 people reach out to me today. Are you okay? I'm like, best day of my life. And that's not platitudes. I'm not placating to some mantra that I'm saying that. You don't say that because it's just something we're faking. It literally is the only day that exists in reality is today. And so it is the best day of our life. So the question is, am I going to focus on what is best about it, or am I going to start comparing it to what I wish I had? Guess what? We are motivated because of who we are, not because of what we're trying to accomplish. What we're trying to accomplish is the fruit of who we are. And that
Correct.
is the biggest thing. So that includes your relationships. That includes your
Yeah.
And if they set on fire and somebody else burns out, it's not because you ran them off. It's because you stood firm and you were struck, and everything around that was supposed to be there was cleansed by fire or either purged by fire, because that's the way it works.
Well, see, the thing is, though, I think people are creating too many of their own fires. There's a new term. Have you heard of it? Darvo? Have you heard this new buzzword that's running around?
No.
Man, I had to
can't
get
keep up
Catherine.
with them.
Catherine told me about it, and it's basically reverse victimizing yourself.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so but what? We don't need to go into that lesson today. What I want to talk about is when you're doing the work. Quite often, you think you're doing the work because you go down these fucking rabbit holes
Right.
instead of actually implementing. Right, and so Now we're going down a new rabbit hole for this new term, which, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you're just wrapping up in a fucking way to victimize yourself using Darvo. You're using Darvo to victimize yourself. Even though I understand the premise of it, but like, you know, essentially I was really bad at this. I would tell Catherine all the ways she was fucking hurting me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand the premise, but in doing the work, you're creating a new fire.
Yeah.
So you can justify where you're at to not do the work.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy too.
It is crazy.
And people will do this with the algorithm. Will fuck you too. It'll send you social media stuff, and you're on your phone, and you're like, "Oh shit, this just came up."
Yeah.
And now it sends you down another rabbit hole, or you start talking to the wrong person. You know, we talked about that on the coaching call last hour. I was just like, "Man, stop talking to all these people.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk to.
That's right.
They're not moving in the same direction as you.
Right.
Remove the noise."
Yeah.
That's actually how we met. Add and subtract and move
Yes.
people through the work.
Yep.
It's such an easy concept to me. I don't understand why it's difficult for people.
No, it's not.
You know what I mean?
It's not difficult at all, and it's one of those things where, you know, you have to decide, okay, where I'm trying to go, are the people I'm listening to actually there, or are they just talking about there? You know,
Mhm.
I really almost beat the dead horse on this thing about stop trying to get there. It's not a there. 3 guys on the call yesterday. Listen, remind you, we're not trying to get there. We're here, because if all we're trying to do is get there, when we get there, there's the new here, and then we're just trying to get there again. You know?
Now you're right. Now you're writing poetry, man.
It's like, this is just crazy. Nobody sees it, but when I say it and it sounds sort of funny, they go, "Wait a minute, yeah, that's almost dumb," because that's what we do, right? We don't think about the fact that we're here and we're working with what we have, and we're always trying to get there. And if we're not present, that's 90% of the problem. We're not present in our mind. We're not present in our identity. We're not present in our relationships. We're always trying to create something else. And then vision casting, you know, the way I vision cast, I ask people what they smell like when they come home from work and their wife is happy to see them. I ask what's the sound that they hear. What are their kids wearing? You know, why don't you close your eyes and envision that, and then go for it. Don't sit in the car in the driveway and sit there and think about how bad it's going to be and what you're going to do and what tool you're going to use that Cass or James or Dennis or somebody gave you. So you can go in there and you can work it up and stat your wife and fix things, because you're failing before you even get out of the car.
Did you see I was making fireworks?
You got fireworks.
I was making fireworks, man. That's fucking amazing what you're saying right now. See, people say I've tried everything because they're in so much pain.
Yes. Yeah.
And just that, everybody who got the privilege of watching this today, did you catch what he just said? Even what you smell like when you walked home when your wife is excited to see you home.
Yeah.
If you haven't thought of that, which I haven't, I never thought of that. I'm good at creating a vision, right? I'm good at seeing the picture so I can reverse engineer it and create the life that I want. And I've never gone into that much detail with it. So if that is something that hits you right now, and even if you have done that before, know that there's always something more that you have to do.
Right.
It's not dependent on your partner. It's who you were built to become, who you were built to be, right?
Yeah. The goal is not a good marriage. The goal is, what does it feel like when she touches you on the face? What does her hands smell like? Chicken because she just made you meal, or Dawn dish soap because you just washed the dish, or maybe you're sitting at home and she comes home and whatever it might be. What does it look like for you?
This is super cool because it's super important, because there's a lesson that I'll teach men. As you age, drinking makes you smell more, right? And you know, I mean, also speaking of smells, I'll teach men, well, if you fart, like if you want to put a mouth down there in the area where it stinks, like, you know, like, what do you think's going to happen? She's going to say no, right? And so down to the details and the specifics, it's just tying into of lessons that we teach. But it's crazy. It's crazy because people, they do the work until they don't do the work, and then they say that they've done the work, but they never actually could have possibly done all the work.
Yeah.
Especially if people like you and I innovate and create new tools. Catherine does that too. We create new tools, new systems, new ways of understanding, new ways of implementing, new ways to show the discipline we talked about earlier, right? If that's the case, if there's always something new, not to mention whatever we do for more education. Good God. But like, if we're still innovating and something can be redone, you might as well just say that cars will never fly.
Right.
I mean, I've tried everything.
Yeah.
No. They're going to be flying soon, man. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It is a defeatist mindset. And it really just boils down to for me, the core of it is that when you think that you are something because of your role, relationship, responsibilities, resume, religion, any reasons, any of those things, you've mistaken something that you are, something that you do as an identity, something that you have as an identity. And then in that, you show up constantly with just this subconscious program going, well, I got to get in here and fix this. I got to get in here and prove this. I got to get in here and do this. And then I get this, and then I'll be something. You know, the goal is not a good sex life. The goal is not a happy vacation. The goal is I am going to show up in this space, and this is what it's going to look like every single day. And whether it does or not, it doesn't matter, because that's where you're walking. It's about your heading, your trajectory, where you're going. I was talking with Cass, talking with you the other day. Actually, it was Monday. Is today Tuesday? It feels like Friday already. About distractions. But see, the thing is, we can get distracted. But if we are distracted, it means that we have a focus. We know what we're supposed to be focusing on. This is the hardest thing that people don't see, is that we tell them what they should be focusing on, but they never get distracted because they never get focused, and they just continue to focus on what they want and what they deserve and the entitlement and all those things to such a degree that they never sit still long enough to listen and do the work. And I say this with utmost integrity. 100% of every man who has ever gone through one of our programs and stayed with it has come through successfully.
And women.
And women.
And
yes,
women.
we have
Yeah,
every
we have women
person
too.
that has been through our programs has been successful. But many, I don't say most, but many quit. And then they say, well, it didn't work. No, you're not taking responsibility.
Oh my gosh, I teach that.
Work.
I teach that work today. Like, I say to people,
Yeah.
but at the 4-year mark, which is just last year, I could tell Catherine was still hurting. I could tell Catherine was still, when we recognized, we identified and learned that she had complex PTSD from the abuse, emotionally, physically, sexually, back in the day,
Right.
from my narcissism. Breakthrough with us, but you know, to be able to know that, yes, life got better all the way, but at the same time, to know that life, I mean, I've never seen Catherine's love like I've seen right now. It feels like it was incredible, but it feels like the beginning. She actually said those words to me. I think I told you a little while ago. She said, "I love you like the beginning."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that came from, well, what if it takes 4 years? By the end of the 4th year, the 5th year, it was just before. That's why I use 4, is because it was before the year was up. But that's when we realized this stuff with Catherine. That's when we really got to get through it. We got to unlock a new level of safety for her. See, but people don't realize that doing the work sometimes means you got to find the best day of your life in every single day, no matter what, being who you want to be. Life was incredible. Every time we have a new breakthrough, we didn't know there was another level.
Right.
It's a new level because we didn't know it existed.
Right.
Right. But it's doing that. It's knowing who you want to be, being more patient with your partner, more impatient with yourself. Yeah. That's what I like. Impatient with yourself. Don't you want to be happy?
Impatient as non-complacent. We talk about that a lot. We talk about that a lot. And it's interesting though, because what it brings to mind in the pathway of personal development. And I hate that term, but that's basically what all this boils down to. Really, it's about becoming an integrated person, and holistic person, a free person, a bound person that's actually living out of their true sense. A lot of times people get discouraged. So even when they do the work and they get to the ceiling, like, yeah, things are great, but you're bumping your head. And the next morning you wake up and you're on the floor crawling again. You're like, what happened? And what they don't realize is that the ceiling that they were on yesterday is now the new floor that they're going to crawl today, which will be the new ceiling. And we have to keep that in mind. There's always a space for learning and learning to crawl again. You cannot ignore that, because that's a lot of times where people will just quit, because so we make sure to emphasize that on a continual basis with our clients, that you just have to take into consideration the ceiling. That success today will be the floor that you crawl on tomorrow. You're not sliding back. You just have to learn new things, new skills, new ideas.
But we have to work with them to make them recognize it and work past and climb to another ceiling. Okay.
Right.
A new floor.
Right.
Okay. But what if you just thought about it more simply, right? What is your financial goal? Let's just pretend it's $1 million this year. Okay. So do you stop? I mean, you might think so right now. You might think so. You're like, that's all I need is 1 million or 2 million or 5 million, whatever. But the reality is, you spend more, you need more.
Yeah.
You give more, right? Like, I mean, you should anyway. But so if you start to really rationalize this, it doesn't matter what your goal is. Here's a really good example. Again, working out. I mean, I owned a gym for 20 years. How many people would be like, I just want to lose 20 pounds? It was always double, but we packed on some muscle. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like, the ceiling will become the floor, and you will go for the next level. Your relationship is the exact same thing.
That's correct.
I thought if you listen to our podcast, so we got like 400 episodes now. If you listen to the beginning, I mean, I thought sex life was great, but looking back, it was still far too intentional for Catherine. It was still probably more of a job looking back, but I thought it was great. New floor.
Right.
Rising up to when she desired to desire and was like really intentional. And we just keep going to where she's fucking off the hook now. Right? Each one of those levels was a ceiling that became a floor that you're talking about.
Yep. That's important. So, yeah. And the work, I mean, the work is very, very, it's a simple work, but it's very, very hard work. And that's something too that a lot of people don't understand. I mean, so, for me, just the self-work was 3 to 4 years, even longer if I look back, but I mean, intentional. And then at my impetus, my rock bottom, I mean, it took me 35 days to find myself after all those years, and going through and going, wow, here's what I needed to do. Duh. But it took all those years to get that knowledge. Now we provide that knowledge in a nugget form with coaching and guidelines and mentors and ambassadors and people that can help constantly. But it's still, you have to go through the same suffering. You have to go through the same grief. You have to go through the same pain. You just get to get a shorter sequence. It's basically what that looks like. But you still have to go through the same pain. You don't have to go through 10 years, but you got to go through at least a year of really focused work.
We always talk about this. If you want what we have, do what we do.
Yes.
And what I think is really important for people to understand is your story's not special. It's not unique. Right. And I'm sorry to tear you down, but it's not like mine is either. It's just that we were talking about somebody this morning who's really like a fan, because she really feels like we're in her home. Right? Like, how do you know everything about my life? Well, I said to Catherine, if she would have told that story about her home, then more people would realize that they're not alone.
That's right.
I would have looked at it and been like, whoa, I'm not alone. Holy crap, that person's telling my story. Right? And so, bye, baby. I love you.
I love you.
So the point about this is if you can realize that one of the biggest things that you have that's going to prevent you from doing the work, following through, and getting the life that you want, the relationship that you want, is that you victimize yourself. This is happening to me. This is so bad. My partner, blah, blah, blah. But if you realize what we're teaching you today, it's all about who you want to be.
Right.
Then your partner can't take your life from you either.
That's right. Nobody
can take what you want.
Nobody can take it.
No
one can take it. And that's one of the most beautiful things in the world. You talked about motivation a little bit ago. And I remember when my therapist asked me about 2 years ago this time, James, what's motivating you to do all this? And I thought for a minute, I looked at her and I said, you know what? Nobody, nothing. I just like to get up and put my feet on the floor and just discover the day. I wonder what it's going to be
Mhm.
like to be me today. I'm going to learn something
Mhm.
new. I'm going to meet some new people. I'm going to have new challenges, new fears, new frustrations. But fears are fuel, triggers are treasures. I mean, we don't have to take those things and make them bad. We can just make
Mhm.
them data and information on a whole new trajectory so that the ceiling that's bumping my head today, I want more. I want to get to the sky and fly, you know? I'll crawl on the next thing so that I can get up there. And that's what makes you and I different, Cass. And there are millions of other people just like us. Some of them know, but some of them haven't tapped into that yet. They haven't sat long enough in the discomfort to recognize the truth so they can stand up and be themselves. And that's the hardest part, is because that discomfort is so it's like doing leg day every day for a month when you first start. You hate yourself.
Well, the thing is though, what I learned in my own journey, what got me to follow through, again, that the comment was earlier, what keeps you motivated? I don't need motivation. I know what I want. But what I realized is what I want was the discomfort of going through the transition.
Mhm.
It had to be less than discomfort of hating who I was in the life that I had.
Yeah.
It had to be less. The moment I realized it was less,
Yeah.
I was ready to move.
That's right. Yeah,
Right? I was ready to make a change. I could stop the abuse. I Not instantly. It
right.
took some time,
Yeah.
right? But I could start to make the changes. And I think that if more people would realize the story's not unique, that it's going to be hard no matter what, because everything's fucking hard. Getting a divorce will be fucking hard too. Choose your hard.
Yeah.
But if you realize that, if love you too, Bill. If you realize that the discomfort will be uncomfortable. It will suck, but it can't be any worse. It's like when we talk to our men in the program and we're like, she's already fucking mad. Like,
Yeah.
what's the difference? It's going to be uncomfortable. Do the
Yes.
right thing, right?
That's right.
She's going to be mad.
Yep.
Who cares? Now do the right thing,
That's right.
right?
So pick
Yeah.
your pain, baby. Pick your pain.
Pick your pain.
That
Choose your pain.
produces purpose, or pain that produces self-pity. You get to pick.
Yeah. I think if people want a real solid life relationship,
Yeah.
especially, understand it will be painful. Just fucking pick your pain.
Pick your pain.
Choose your hard.
Yeah.
And then go where you want to go, knowing who you are, not what you deserve,
Right.
knowing who you are. And you will not lose. 100% of people will win if they don't quit.
That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah. So what is the work? It's work. They don't call it work.
It's work.
For nothing.
Nicole, Nicole says, from a woman's perspective, I need you to know you're incredible. Thank you. Well, you have the potential to have a husband that you feel the exact same way about,
Right.
But it starts with a lot of what we talked about today, Nicole. Doing the work where you, like, I'll give you an example with something Catherine would teach. If I used to yell at her, she didn't have to disengage and shut down. That's what she used to do. I feel like I was talking to a wall. This is the expression I would give to her. But Catherine learned to not feel so defensive and try to love me through whatever I was feeling, to understand what I was feeling. That was because anger wasn't the real thing. So, part of what I'm trying to encourage you here for, Nicole, is that if you feel like the work that I do is incredible and the man that I changed from is something special, and you want that from your husband, it will start with what we talked about today, where you can be the person you were created to be. And that is a loving, empathetic, nurturing, even if he's a mean ass piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe though. Oh, he just joined our one of our programs. It's awesome. I love that, Nicole.
Awesome.
Well, maybe he's the guy I just fucking chewed out today. Cast his ass.
If he's in the bathroom with a bunch of tissues, he's crying. You know what's up? You must have met Cass. Oh, goodness. That's funny.
They called me a castle.
Castle.
Sometimes.
Nah,
Yeah.
Not a casserole.
Excuse me. Not a casserole. No, I am edible, but that's only for Catherine.
Oh.
All right. Yeah. All right, guys. It's been a lot of fun today. We're trying to go live noon Monday to Friday. We're also doing a lot with what we call the human bleed. We've identified in how we're helping corporations where they're actually losing the bottom line. So for a quick example, let's say we talked about a story about a woman who left her principal job, and she was 9 years earlier early from retiring, but it was actually surrounded by menopause and the lack of education, and then all the compound effects that happened with the marriage, with her husband, with the children, and so on and so forth. So we're doing that, which is more really about helping. We believe the economy should not be suffering right now. It should not be suffering, that people don't understand where or how to help people. And we've identified that it's really about identity and relationship.
That's right.
And so we're turning corporations around. So we're trying to do that a couple times a week. And that's a new podcast that's going to be released right away called The Human Bleed. Won't be as light as this. It's going to be more like we have to read a little bit and we have to give you some facts and then we'll talk. But we're excited for you guys regardless. I don't know if anybody will ever hear it, but we want to put it out there.
Right.
And thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate you guys for following, listening. By the way, Facebook shut us down. So if you guys are seeing this, if you want to feed content, share content, it will help a lot tremendously, please.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah. James, do you have anything you want to say before we go?
No, just stay steady, stay low, and understand that it takes time. It took a while to get here. It's going to take a little bit of time to get back. And honestly, you don't want to get back to what you had.
You hated that one. You hated
want to
that
get
marriage.
to something that you've never, ever had. And I heard somebody say this Sunday. It says, we don't need to actually try to start. We don't need to try to get better. We just need to decide we're going to do things differently. So let's do some things differently and see what it does.
Love it. All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow at noon Central Time. We'll just talk like this. Have some fun.
Awesome.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.